Hello, everyone. This is Stacy. Welcome to the landing. Hello, and welcome back to the landing. We have got a distinguished guest here with us today, Mr. Randy Willis. Mr. Randy, will you tell us a little bit about who you are, who's your crowd, and where you're from?
Well, I was born and raised at sea level, and my father is Dallas Willis. He worked at a port. He was assistant director there for 4 administrations. That didn't exactly suit my fancy, so day after I graduated, I went to Stumpy Point. I had an uncle there, Hildred Golden. He had a trawler, and that's where I got my start.
We're going to jump right in. Did you do any fishing while you were in school? Did you help or?
A little, but it was just here and there.
Mm-hmm. So your uncle really is where you started.
He taught me more than anybody else. I mean, he had been in the Coast Guard, and he was a good teacher. He didn't volunteer much, but if you asked him, he could give you a logical reasoning for whatever you wanted to know.
Did you live with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stayed with him nearly till Christmas that year. And then I come home, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So my grandfather sort of volunteered me to go tugboating.
Oh.
And I did that for 5.5 years. And my grandmother found out she had cancer, so I come home and I couldn't bear sitting watching her die. So I found an old boat, the Stacy. The name of her was the Braxton. She was in a ditch alongside the road, and I stopped and looked at her one day. And the fellow that owned her, which I didn't know at the time, he asked me if I wanted to borrow her. And she didn't look like much. On rusty nails, no engine. But come to find out, that old boat was the only boat left on Stacy after the 33 storm.
Really?
Only boat. She was anchored in Falkers Creek, stern to the wind. And she survived. The rest of them were on the dunes over there by Alders.
Wow.
So I wound up buying that boat. And my father had a lot of experience building skiffs. And we put a bottom on her, new bottom, and there's oysters on her big hand.
Wow.
Where she was in that ditch.
So she'd been in that ditch for a long time.
She was over 100 years old, that boat was.
Wow.
But we re-nailed her, put a house on her, and another uncle of mine, he volunteered to go to Chesapeake, get a diesel engine to go in her. And there was 2 weeks in February. It was real pretty. I mean, bluebird weather.
Oh, wow. We
hung haul nets on the creek road during that spell of weather. And you got 4 nets on each side, and you pair off with another boat and another skiff. You got 3 men on each boat. And when you set going in opposite directions. Man in the skiff ties the staves, and you set out in a horseshoe.
Okay.
And you drag them to a shoal, somewhere where you can stand bottom, and then you start putting the nets back in the skiff.
You do it all by hand.
Do it all by hand with the boat's help.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's two guys going to be in a skiff and another one on the boat. So, and whoever you're selling to sends you a run boat, what they call a run boat. You'll have ice, and he'll come and you'll bail your fish on the run boat.
So the run boat brings the ices them down for you, and takes them back in.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And we never did go in much. I mean, once we left on Sunday evening, we pretty much stuck it out till the end of the week on the boat.
Wow.
But we really didn't have time. I mean, a friend of mine named Greg Taylor, he loved to fish better than I love to eat. And I told him that we would pile up together, but he needed to have somewhere in mind to haul after every haul.
So think ahead.
So sometimes we'd haul as much as 3 times a day.
Gracious.
I mean, we didn't drag them a long ways, but in a lot of cases there were a lot of sea nettles around, jellyfish. So it was better to make those short hauls than it was the long hauls, because the further you drag them, more jelly gets in them. Then they come to the top and dump. You lose your fish. Anyway, that's how I got started.
Wow. So how old were you about when you obtained this boat, the Braxton?
Time has a way to sneak in by.
Yes,
with
it does.
Me. I couldn't very well tell you.
So you were young, though. I mean, it was.
I was still in my younger years.
Yeah. Did you keep the boat's name? Or
no,
did you change it?
I named her after my grandmother. Her name was Line, or they called her Liney. Her name was Caroline. She was a twin. It was Caroline and Madeline. And she passed on shortly after. But best boat I ever had.
No, I bet she was. She was made
And
out of.
I owned 2 more after that. But I always dreaded getting rid of that first one.
What caused you to get rid of Liney? What was that necessity?
Well, she wasn't a trawl boat. She was a haul boat.
What's the difference?
She was set up for people to stay on. The Liney was. She was narrow, 36 feet long, but she wasn't but 9 feet wide.
Oh, wow.
So she handled good. And I just thought I wanted something bigger.
To do.
More power.
So
it had got to the point to where fishing was on a downgrade anyway. Fishing is in a cycle. You may start and it may be knee deep everywhere you go. And the following year, you may not be able to catch enough to feed a sick cat. I mean, that's just the way it is.
That's the reality, the harsh
That's
reality.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept records of where we went every day, what the wind was, all the specifics. And it didn't mean a hill of beans.
You couldn't foresee the future, could you?
Nope.
No. Well, now, you mentioned with, I guess it was the Liney, that you would stay gone a week?
Yeah.
Where, because, I mean, you're right, 9 feet, that's not very wide. And there would be how many men aboard that boat?
3.
3 men. So you had room for that? How did you
We
manage?
cooked, we slept,
Wow.
we eat. We all had plenty of room. The main thing I liked about it is we didn't have to stay in one place. If we wasn't doing so well here, we'd move on somewhere else. And we had fish finders on a boat, so we were looking for markings as we left one place, go to another. We found fish at different times.
Now, what's a fish finder?
Oh, like fathometer,
Okay.
but it shows you the interference between the boat and the bottom,
Okay.
and that's the fish you're looking for.
Okay. Because you want to see interference. Definitely.
That's it.
So the next boat you had after the Liney, what was the next one?
I was a Captain AC.
Mm-hmm.
I named her after my son's initials, Asa Charles, with my first wife.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't care much for me being gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a lifestyle that's expects a lot, don't it?
All her family been home nights.
Mm-hmm.
And once my grandmother died, she was out by herself.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't hit it off too well. So she left, went home.
Now, the Captain AC, what kind of boat was she?
Trawler, a lot wider, a lot deeper. Not all that much longer. But we did good with her. I mean, I tried my best not to work by myself. I've seen too many get hurt, too many drowned, and there's too much stuff can happen.
Definitely.
So I had a good friend. He had been working to the hospital. He didn't want to be there no more. So he started going with me, and we stuck together till the duration. I mean, when I sold my last boat, it was because more or less of Isabel and the results of Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fuel was too high. Nobody really wanted anything off the water.
Wow.
And I needed something to do. Really, I needed to get my house back together. It took me 3 months to do that.
Wow.
I worked day and night for 3 months trying to get my house back together.
Where the storm had damaged and...
Tide went in it to my belt.
Oh, my goodness.
So tide won't go in it no more. You may tear it up.
You must have raised it.
I did.
Yeah, and there are a lot of homes down east, and of
Sure
course you're
did.
in sea level, so yeah.
And my wife now says it's too high. I says, no such thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep you from getting wet.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to do that again.
Nope.
No.
This is a one-time deal.
Yeah.
So,
So your friend that fished with you, was he from sea level too?
yep.
So what kind of fish did you catch with the Captain AC? You were shrimping. And did you shrimp around here?
Yeah, from Straits to Englehart.
Oh, okay.
Times we'd be back Ocasco. Times we'd be through West Bay. And it depended on the time of year and where the shrimp were at.
Right, because you're following them. That decided it, didn't it? So you said you had 2 more boats. So what followed the Captain AC?
Julian Morris had built a boat just for climbing. Deep keel for deep water.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't into climbing much. I mean, I did some of it, but it wasn't my thing. So he convinced me that I needed that boat.
He convinced
His son had got hung up in a winch.
Ooh.
Yeah, he broke his arm in 11 places.
Ho, ho, ho.
So he wasn't going back on that boat no more. I mean, he had 2 men on deck. They were in the coal table and couldn't get to him.
Oh, no.
He was flopping around and
That's just how fast.
finally got by him and got the winch cut off. But the damage was long done. And he weren't going climbing no more. I mean, that was a nightmare to him to even think about that. So, Julian wanted to sell a boat. He didn't like the name of her anyway, Captain Leslie. Name of her. And I left it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was good to me, Leslie Gordon. He was a good friend. And then I changed my routine.
How?
I stay around home or in Pamlico Sound until September. And then I change states. I go to South Carolina, work around McCullensville, Bulls Bay, St. Helena.
And now you're catching what?
Green-tailed shrimp.
Green-tail shrimp. Okay.
Then we didn't have a green-tailed shrimp here.
Mm-hmm.
It was spotted shrimp in the spring and brown shrimp in the summer.
But now
your spotted shrimp have disappeared. They don't mix. If you see a spotted shrimp, you won't see a green-tail.
Oh, wow.
It's even that way a lot of places. I don't know. They don't like one another.
They must not like one another. That's right. Must not get along. So you traveled more then with the Captain Leslie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many were on that boat?
Just the 2 of us.
Just 2 of you.
It was a lot more fun going south.
Why? What made it more fun?
Well, a lot of people from around here went.
Mm-hmm.
And some friends of mine told me when I went down there, started working down there, that I wouldn't even want to come back to North Carolina. Said, that's civilized work down there. You start at 6 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock your day is end. You don't work nights, but it's all in the ocean.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the ocean is different down there than it is here.
How so?
Here, when you get quarter mile off the beach, you're knocking 30 feet of water. When you get a half a mile off the beach, you're knocking 70 feet of water.
Wow.
Down there, you can go 3 miles, still not get over 30 feet of water.
Wow, really? Huh. So you say that there it was civilized. Did you actually come ashore? Where did you stay when you were there?
We stayed on a boat,
Uh-huh.
but only time we'd come ashore is either go to the grocery store or pack out.
Wow. Wow.
We'd anchor up nights, and most of the time in 5 Fathom. That was the name of the creek going in and out. And I woke up one night, I was adrift. The tide runs like crazy. And I wasn't where I left. So I woke the guy up on the boat, and I said, we got to get to anchor. Couldn't get anchor. We could get it where it was straight down, but we couldn't get it on the boat. Couldn't get it up. So I had to put a block on the outrigger and take the winch and pick it up. Come to find out there was a net, a shrimp net that somebody had lost off their pilot house, I guess. It was tied up in a bundle.
Oh my goodness.
And that was in, the flukes of the anchor was in that net.
Oh my goodness.
And we were dragging out right along. So.
Oh my goodness. So had you drifted far?
Nah, not too far.
That's
It
funny.
took 30 minutes or so to get back.
Still, I mean, you wake up in a different place. That had to be a little scary at first.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of stories, do you have any memories? Do you have any stories about like a big catch that you had, or, you know, an exceptionally good day, exceptionally bad day, a funny day, anything?
Well, about the best catch in a period of time was probably in South Carolina. We had 26 baskets in 17 minutes.
17 minutes? How in the world did you like physically do that?
We just did the same thing we'd always done.
Oh my goodness.
Standing to the winch, the shrimp, you know, these white boots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, my son-in-law got married in them, but
I love that.
the Corsound
Course sound
boots.
yes.
Well, standing to the winch, and shrimp were in my boots. We run the table over, and of course they come on deck, and once they got to the waist, they just kept right on coming.
Wasn't that fun?
It was.
Oh my goodness.
An old heart pound.
Oh, yes, I am sure. Oh, because that don't happen all the time.
No.
Oh my goodness.
The thing about it was, we drug, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes next tow, had 19 baskets. And then we drug 2 hours the next tow, and we didn't have 2 boxes.
See,
that's how it changes.
Yeah, you just never know. Never
and
know.
There was nothing left. There was nothing in it other than a little catfish.
Oh my goodness, it was all clear. Oh my goodness.
Clear corn, that's what they said.
Clear corn. Now, doing that, did somebody come out to you like with a run boat?
No.
Then how do you do it? Boy, how would you do it?
Put them in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Box of guys in it. Pipe them down. Once it gets full or close, you got to find a fish house somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the fish house down there, they packed them on the dock. They had a vat and half of a 55-gallon drum with a hinge on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they picked that up with a deadfall, and they dump it in a vat, the shrimp, and they had a conveyor belt that run the shrimp, and as they got to the basket, they just dumped them in a box.
Dump them, and they were weighing them and all that at the same time?
Weighing them in the basket all the time.
How frequently would you get paid? Was it like a once a week thing, or?
No, I didn't get a check till I got ready to come home.
Yeah.
Whether it be 3 days or 10.
Mm-hmm. So they just kept a running tab kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep. Anything we needed for the boat, we could get right there to the fish house.
So
he had a warehouse behind his office.
Tell us, what kinds of things would you need? Like ice, or like, what are you talking about?
Sometimes you lose a trinet. You need a set of doors or a block, maybe cable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to part a cable.
Right.
And he kept it all on hand. I mean,
that's awesome that it was right there, so you wouldn't slow you down too much.
If you broke something, like outrigger or maybe a stay, if you had a pipe stay, or they had a welder right there alongside the fish house.
That's genius.
I'm talking about not just the machine. He had everything you needed there. Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Had the hood on his head, ready to go to work.
Ready to go. Well, that's very smart, because then you get back to work quicker.
That's right.
And then they have the smaller things like ice and, I mean, all that kind of stuff too. So all you need
You blew your ice on.
Okay.
Had a hose.
Uh-huh.
And it had an ice house. A hose come out of that ice house, and And if you didn't stop him in time, you got more ice than you wanted.
That's a lot different than breaking it off of a block now.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, he'd fill it up with ice if you didn't stop him, huh? Keep on going. Oh my goodness. Anything that comes to mind that you haven't shared with us?
Oh, got caught in a water spout.
You got caught in a water spout?
Well, there was 7 water spouts.
Oh me.
And we went in a little creek, Garbacon Creek, News River.
Mm-hmm.
And we were faring pretty good, so I went cooking chicken. And we devoured the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
So we raked the bones overboard. And the grease that was on them bones, they enticed alligators. I didn't know it at the time, but it was a while before we could get to sleep because they were beating on the bottom of the boat with their tails.
Oh,
Fighting one another for chicken bones.
no. No, that's learning the hard way. No. Oh, please tell me you didn't do that again.
No, we didn't.
Oh my goodness. Now, when you cooked, what kind of setup did you have?
A gas stove.
Gas stove?
Like apartment size. 3
Mhm.
burner,
Yeah.
oven, the whole thing.
Wow.
It was fun.
It was fun. Did you ever have days that you're like, what am I doing?
No.
No.
Maybe what am I doing here where I'm in the wrong spot,
Right.
but not because I was bored at what I was doing. No,
I love that.
never did. But it soon changed. When you got a kid in college and you've extinguished all your resources, you had to find something different sometimes.
Extinguished all your resources, meaning
No money.
no money. Yep. Because when you talk about expenses, I mean it costs to go fishing.
It does.
Because we're talking about gas. List some of the things that you had overhead that you had to make enough to cover.
Talking about propane, you're talking about diesel fuel, you're talking about wear and tear on everything. It takes 6 gallons of oil just to change oil.
Wow.
On a long week, like maybe you work 5 nights, but you work 2 days. At the end of that week, you got to change oil because you're long since past your time to change it.
Right.
That involves oil, filter, gasket, and time. So in a boat, when she's not working, it's going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime she's not running, she's going downhill.
Yep, they're meant to be used.
I put in an application with a ferry division just for a joke. Keep peace, because 7 gallons an hour what she was burning.
Oh wow.
The boat.
An hour. Uh-huh.
And like I said before, nobody wanted anything, whether it was shrimp, fish. I mean, everybody had to try to put their life back together.
Yeah.
They really didn't want anything out of the water. I went to make a short trip, and the cattle and the hogs were floating by. And there was a house with a deck, and a tree was surrounded by this deck, and all of it was afloat.
Floating. Wow.
And when you haul back, it would stink. Water would stink.
Yeah. So it was time.
And I want to put that on the market.
Yeah, it was time.
So I put the application in, and they called me almost before I got home.
And that's not a real long trip either
No.
from the Cedar Island to sea level.
No, about 11 miles.
Yeah.
So told me to bring my papers in, and I said, "Does this mean I got a job?" And I said, "Yeah, next Tuesday, you're going to orientation."
Wow.
So I stuck with that for nearly 15 years, but I had to do something. I mean, like I said, young and in college,
Yeah.
you can't put her on hold.
Yeah. No, and you had needed
David
that.
Paul's learning about that right now.
Yes. Yes, he is. Firsthand. Firsthand. Well, Mr. Randy, I have enjoyed talking to you. It has been extremely interesting. And I appreciate you coming and spending your time with us and your knowledge. And I just appreciate you. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
I surely enjoyed meeting Randy. He is such a great guy. And that's what the landing is all about. People coming together and learning and growing. Please join us next week. We have a special treat in store for you. Until then, stay safe and be kind.